Welcome to the Unshakeable Talks with me, Katy. This is where we lift the lid on what entrepreneurs are really going through. The struggles, the myths, the mistakes, and the things we've been sold to. This is where we talk about how we balance business and life. This isn't another podcast teaching strategy. This is where we talk about the raw, real truth about female entrepreneurship and what it really means to run a business and life and combine both of them together. Running a business as a woman isn't harder, it's just different. And it's time we talk about this. There is no cap on what we can achieve, because behind every business, there's the stuff no one dares to talk out loud. Welcome to the Unshakeable Talks. Today is a straight talk episode. And in today's episode, we're speaking about the survival mood and that you can't scale your business from a survival mood. And what I mean by this is, you know those seasons when your body runs your business before your brain does, when you operate from sheer panic and when you're in constant stress just to get things done. Those times where you're just being busy for the sake almost of being busy because it makes you feel very productive and it makes you feel like you're really achieving something and it makes you feel like you're really working hard towards your next goal and to achieving whatever it is you like to achieve within your business. I'm talking about those times. And you may think, listening to this, is like, what's she talking about? Of course, having my own business is really busy. And of course, I have to work long hours. And of course, it's normal to be stressed at times. And yes, it is normal. But I'm talking about things such as when you wake up in the morning, is the first thing you do check your messages? Do you open your eyes, go to your phone, which is most likely probably on your bedside table, and do you look at your messages? Do you check your emails straight away? Do you check your Stripe notifications straight away? Is this how you start your day? Do you tend to feel guilty for taking time off? Do you struggle with actually saying, okay, I'm exhausted, I feel run down, I think my skin is bad because I'm coming down with something, I need to rest? Do you tend to give yourself time to really sit with those emotions? Or do you just think, okay, it's part of life, I'm just going to have to carry on. I have to carry on because if I don't, that means I can't get X, Y, Z done, which then in turn means I can't get to the next goal of my business. Do you feel this constant pull to do more and more and more? Or do you feel quite content? Do you tend to overhire just to fix the chaos in your business? Do you think hiring an extra person to take some of the workload off you will actually take you to the next step? I definitely did this. And I've did that for a long time. So if you are running your business and it's not just you, I bet you tend to do this as well. And the other thing I really want you to ask yourself is, does your mood of the day depend on how your business performs? And I want you to sit with this question a little bit, because every entrepreneur knows that when you go through a stressful time, or generally, really, if you go through a stressful time within life, it does affect your mood. But is your mood affected by how your day at work went? Because those are all signs of operating within survival mood. Those are not signs of operating like as part. This is not how generally business should feel like or should be like. Yes, there are stresses, and yes, there are busy times and not so busy times, and especially when you're a mom or a woman and you have a household to run and you have the kids to run and a business and all of this. This all plays a part, and some days are more stressful than others. But if this is how your normal day-to-day looks, that is a very clear indication that you're working from a survival mode. Because being busy all the time is actually not normal. It's not being productive. It's not being into momentum. Being busy all the time means that you are occupying yourself with things to avoid to take the next step. And the reason why you're doing this is most likely is because it feels safe to you, because you know your day-to-day. You know exactly how to run your business. Every woman I speak to, they know how their business structure is. They know how their usual day-to-day within their business looks like. And they're just doing and doing and doing and doing all over again because that feels safe. They're not actually looking at, okay, I want to reach my next level, this XYZ income goal. What is it actually what I have to do to get to that place? Because they're busy. They're just busy doing all the time. And I spoke about this before in one of the episodes of the Unshakeable Talks when I spoke about burnout and how that showed up for me. So if you want to know a little bit more about this and how behavior like this can literally lead to silent burnout, I want you to check out this episode because it's really interesting. But I want to also talk about why scaling from survival mode is the wrong thing when it comes to scaling and why it actually hinders you to grow within your business. And one of the reasons is scaling from chaos just creates more chaos. It doesn't allow you to expand. It doesn't allow you to get this free space within your brain to think about the next step, to think about the elevation, the things you have to do to get to your next level. Because remember, the person who you've been getting to the point you are right now is not the same person who can actually get you to the next step. You have to evolve, you have to change, you have to do the inner work and the identity work to actually reach that next level. So if you're operating from a constant chaos and a constant being busy, this will not happen because you simply haven't got the capacity to do so. You most likely will hit your semi-important goals, like your general income goals. I did within my old business. I definitely hit those goals. But what you won't be able to do is you won't be able to hold them. And this is really where the sweet spot is, because if you want to level up and grow your business, you will have to be able to hold each of those steps you're going. You will have to, every next step you're achieving, you have to be able to hold it. And if you can't do this, you will be in this, what I like to call this hamster wheel, just being like going around in circles and just doing and not really progressing. You're progressing a little bit because you're getting to the next little goal you're telling yourself, which you most likely have adjusted because your big goal at this point becomes so unachievable. So we're going to downgrade our goal. So it's a bit more achievable, which makes us then in turn feel really great when we achieve them. But really what we don't realize is that our big goal, our ambition we had in the beginning when we started our business, is not reachable anymore. And we're not really concentrating on reaching this because we just keep being busy. And when you want to scale your business, scalability needs stability. And what I mean by this is your body needs to actually feel safe. You need to feel safe and content within yourself in order to take those next steps. And this is where the inner work really becomes super, super important. And I know for many of you listening, that maybe sounds a little bit like woo-woo and a bit far-fetched, and it's not really tangible what I'm saying. So I wanted to give you an example on how my day used to look versus like how my business day looks now. Just so you can understand a little bit more about what I'm talking about and why this is so important. So back in the days with my old business, I used to be that person. I used to wake up at 6 a.m. every morning, checking my messages first thing. And it wasn't just that I woke up at 6 a.m. Leading up to 6 a.m., probably from about 4 a.m., 5 a.m., subconsciously in my thought processes, I already thought about what shitstorm is going to hit me today. Who is going to call in sick? What client is going to give me aggravation today? What fire do I have to put out today? Is my daughter going to be a good girl this morning, getting up and not making a fuss over breakfast? Will we be on time to the school bus so I can actually go to work and have a semi-quiet start to the day? So all of those thoughts were already in my head when I opened my eyes at 6 a.m. in the morning. Then I went to check my messages. 9 out of 10 times there was some sort of drama in my inbox already, which usually everyone tend to message me. It's just after 12 o'clock at night, because this is when they decided they're going to not feel good enough to get into work the next morning. And what that did to me was I already woke up stressed. My nervous system was always on high alert from the offset. I then rushed out of bed. I got ready really quickly. I was already in the mood because I was so frustrated. I was so peed off really at whoever messaged me, at the world, then in turn at my family, at my daughter, because she obviously didn't get out of bed as quick as I was on that day. And the whole day just started on a really bad foot. And that carried through the day. That carried through on how I showed up at work, because most days I showed up with not having had any breakfast for starters. So my nourishment, myself, really took a back seat from the offset. And I only learned now that this really is so important for business and to actually be good at what you're doing, that you look after yourself. Back in the days, I was always second priority. Well, actually, I was third priority, if I'm being really honest. So my day was, coming back to what I was trying to say, is my day really was riddled by stress. So everything was stressful. Everything, even the things I enjoyed. Even coming home and doing family dinners, things which are really dear to my heart and which I really enjoyed and which really grounded me on a good day, really felt really heavy and really stressful. So business, even though it grew, and even though I progressed, and even though I built this amazing company and I achieved to the outside so much, it felt so heavy. I was so unhappy. And no one around me understood this really, which then harbored a lot of frustrations. I just couldn't understand why people don't have the kind of same outlook on life than me. And when I gave up this business, and I had to do a lot of inner work, I had to do a lot of reflecting, looking back, and really deciding, how do I want to live my life now? I was also very ill with burnout and other things. It really took a toll on my health and on my mental health, on my physical health. I was severely overweight. I'm not saying this was a consequence of my old business, but what it was a consequence of me neglecting myself and not looking after myself. I was very overweight. I was beginning 40s, and I had health problems, what I would expect to have when I was 60, 70 years old. So I really had to address this. And when I looked into this and did all the inner work and really shifted my identity, I promised myself I will never ever operate like this again. So today, my business day, my work day looks so much better. I still get up at 6 a.m., some days even earlier, but what has become an absolute non-negotiable for me is I start my day with 15 to 30 minutes in bed with a morning coffee. And that maybe sounds really silly to some of you, but what it does, I allow myself to start my day calm. So I sit in bed, I watch morning TV, and I literally check in with myself and ask myself, how do I feel today? What energy and frequency can I bring to my day? And when I do this, I then will check my calendar. I won't check my messages. I will check my calendar and I will see what commitments do I have today. And even on bad days, my client work will always come first. So I prioritize not by important things. I look at all the important things and prioritize by urgent things, which is all my client work, and important things. So all the urgent things will get done regardless of how I feel on the day. Regardless if I'm having a good day or a really high frequency day and I'm in a good mood. They will get done regardless. But what will slip and what is negotiable is everything else. So ideally on a good day, I want to get up, want to do my workout, want to have a good breakfast and then want to start working. But sometimes it just doesn't work like this. Sometimes I'm also a woman of middle age. I don't like to throw the perimenopause around a lot, but it is affecting me. So I have to make allowances for this. I have to allocate for those days where I don't feel up for it. And on those days, I will do the urgent things, but I will skip the important things because they can wait another day. And I will do what feels good for me, things where I can make sure that I'm in the best frequency for that day. And that usually means I'm not working out in the morning. I will do what I need to be doing and I will prioritize how I fuel myself and I will most likely exercise in the afternoon. Or I won't exercise. And when it comes to other work, quite often, which I never used to do, I work later in the evening nowadays. Because sometimes I just need a few hours in the day to get myself in the right headspace. And sometimes that just means getting everything done around life in general, which is not business related. For me, it is very important, and I really noticed this and I had to learn this. For me, it is very important that my life is organized. Everything else runs like a machine. Everyone around me is happy. I feel happy within my feminine energy, and I need to allow myself to have time to actually dedicate to this. And once I've done this, I can be 150% at business. I can be the best version of myself. And this is really what has changed for me. Since I have done all the inner work, all the identity work, I know now how to check myself, how to check in with myself, how to really make sure what can I bring to the day? What frequency am I in? What capacity do I have today to do whatever is on my to-do list? And I only do this. And this has become completely non-negotiable. And sometimes that means, and if you're a friend of mine and listening to this episode, you know this, sometimes that means canceling on my friends' commitments. So if I'm not having a good day and I don't really feel like socializing, I will cancel my lunch plans. Back then, old people pleasers Katy didn't do that. I felt guilty. Now I don't feel guilty because I own it to myself. And if you take anything away from this episode, I want it to be this. I want you to make yourself a priority and I want you to do what feels right for you. Because if you don't, you will never be able to reach your next level of success. If you've been feeling stuck or disconnected from the woman behind your business, this is your sign. The Identity Shakeup is my new free audio, a short, powerful reset to help you to get clear on the person who you've become and the person your business needs next. Head to the link in the show notes to access it today.